Hi, my name is Akash, and today we're going to be talking about talent agreements and what you should keep in mind before signing on the dotted line. Now, talent agreements, they're a very common part of the entertainment industry. Whenever you're going to enter into a collaborative production, be it a movie, television show, the production of an album, a concert, a music video, an art installation, or any other similar production, you are going to be entering into a talent agreement. And that's going to govern the basis on which you provide your creative services to the project as a whole. But when you're entering into one of these projects, there are three things to keep in mind. The three C's: compensation, credit, and the contingencies. Let's first take a look at compensation, the means by which you're actually going to be paid for your contribution to the production.
Compensation can seem like a simple issue of, how much you're being paid for a certain amount of work, but it's slightly more complicated than that, especially in the realm of talent contracts. What you have to know is that there are a couple of different ways of calculating the compensation. It can be as simple as a flat fee for an entire project. It can be a flat fee for a certain unit of time, be it a per hour flat fee, per day flat fee, per month flat fee, and so on. It can be a certain performance-based percentage, whether that's performance in an internal sense, performance in terms of the outflow that you have, or performance of the project as a whole. So this is something that goes into calculating what essentially your compensation will be. And since it's variable this way because of the fluid nature of production, where you can run over budget, you can run over time, you can end up finishing quickly, there may also be a provision for a minimum and a maximum total fee. So that's another thing that you want to pay attention for, especially relating how that comes into contact with the way that your fee is calculated. You want to make sure that you don't have a large per hour fee, but then a small cap, because that would effectively be functioning as a flat fee overall. So these are things that you want to take into account when you're looking at compensation. Another big issue that's related to compensation is the issue of expenses. Now, for a lot of creative works, you're going to end up undertaking certain expenses, whether it's travel, accommodations, just, food and drink, any other associated consumables that are involved in your creative process could be considered expenses. And that's something that is going to offset the income that you get through your compensation. And so figuring out the allocation of these expenses is going to be crucial to understanding what your actual end of the day compensation is going to be. For example, if you're getting a certain fee per hour while working on location, but you're responsible for taking care of your own accommodation and your own meals, you could very quickly find out that you're actually coming out of this behind, where you're spending more to do work on the project than you're taking home as your salary. So these are things that you all go into figuring out exactly what you are being compensated with during the production.
Credit refers to the obligation of the producer to ascribe to you credit for the work that you contributed to the project as a whole. And it is essential when you're going to promote your career and get further work.
Now, when it comes to credit, there are three issues that you're going to want to look into. The first is title. Under what title are you being credited? The second is the position and prominence of your credit. And the third is what happens to your credit in case you are terminated or the project is terminated. Now, first, when it comes to title, that is important in establishing what role you will be credited in within the project. And that credit, that title, is essentially what you'll be able to show within your body of work. Now, let's say that you contribute some music to a film. That can be credited, depending on your contract, either as a composer, either as a contributor of sounds, or you can be credited for the individual work alone. And depending on how you're credited, that is how the credit will appear within your body of work. And so when you go on to your next work, you'll be able to say either that you were a composer, or that you contributed sounds, or that you composed a song that was then credited as such within the work. Similarly, the position and prominence of your credit within the body of work is also essential. If you're headlining, that's where your name comes up at the top. It could be that within the credits, there is a division, such as in a film, for those above the fold, where they get extra prominence and are displayed prior to the title crawl, or below the fold, which is people that come after the title crawl. And this positioning and prominence, that is how related you are to the final work in terms of the marketing that you have, in terms of how you can get your name out there, so to speak.
Now, the compensation and the credit are essential for understanding what you're going to get out of the agreement, whether it's going to be a good, positive step forward in your career, and whether it's going to provide you with remuneration worth your time and your efforts. But beyond this, you should also look at what the contract does in cases of contingencies, what the obligations of the parties are when things go wrong, and how best you can salvage your effort and time should the project not go ahead as planned.
Finally, you have to look into the contingencies associated with the project. Essentially, if something goes wrong with the project, what is going to happen? One, what is going to happen to the costs that were incurred? What is going to happen with regards to the work that was done but not compensated? And oftentimes, what was going to happen to the work that you contributed? Now, some have a savings clause which allows you to reuse or take ownership of any contributed work that wasn't used in an aborted project. So in order to make sure that if the project fails, you're not left holding the bag, you do need to look into what is going to happen in the contingency case.
The 3 C's: compensation, credit, and contingencies. You should have a good idea of how to go through an agreement and understand at a basic level whether it is an appropriate and safe deal for you to undertake. That being said, it's always good to seek the services of a trained entertainment lawyer in order to understand any poison pills or the exact ramifications of the agreement that you're about to enter.
Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please feel free to give us a like, give us a comment with any thoughts that you have on the subject matter, and subscribe to see more content coming soon.